Welcome to this week's Community Spot. For this week, we're going to have a little bit of crowd interaction. Well, not interaction, but participation today. So if you know how to put your thumbs up and thumbs down, can you do that for me now? Thumbs up, excellent. We're not playing heads down, thumbs up. It's okay. I've got to say, that was one of my favourite games in primary school because he was like, oh, we don't have to think. It's great. Anyway, this one's a voting game. So if you hold your hands out in front of you, and I'm going to say a couple of different statements. If you agree with what I'm saying, leave your thumbs up. If you disagree, put them down. And if you kind of, put them sideways. And we'll see how we go. So the first one's an easy one. I love talking to strangers. If that's you, thumbs up. Love talking to strangers. Kind of others. Okay, good. There's a bit of a variety here. That's good to see. All right, the next statement. During the church service, when the service leader stops the service and says, turn to your neighbour and greet them, thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think? There's a couple of people like, yes, this is the best. Other people are like, do not. Mark's over here trying to drill a hole through the floor. He's welcome to introverted academia. It's great. I might ask Mark up. No. Statement number 3. I think supper or morning tea after the church service is one of my favourite parts of being at church. Down. That's a hard one. I'm sorry, I'm making it a hard one, aren't I? All right. We'll move on to the next one. I find it hard to meet new people. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you find it hard to meet new people? Is the process difficult or is it easy? All right, next question. The church I go to, I think, is an easy one to join. Interesting. And the last statement. Sometimes I think outsiders might find it hard to become an inside part of our church or belong within our church. Agree? Disagree? It's interesting looking out over the sea of thumbs and see them all pointing in slightly different directions. It's great. But that means we are different as churches, aren't we? Churches are different. We are different. God has made us in these different ways for different purposes. But why was I asking these particular questions this week in our community spot? Last week, we took a look at the theme of belonging. And we noticed in our discussion last week that we belong thanks to Christ, whether we feel like it or not. There's something solid about that belonging that no matter of feelings can take away. But then we also can have a sense of belonging to place, to people, to community. So how do we go from being outside to being inside? How do we get from not belonging to belonging? There's an action that God does in bringing us to himself, but how do we join the community of believers? Today's theme is the theme of welcoming. Churches, I think, universally recognise, or most do, that welcoming is something we should do. And there are some churches that are super organised. They have military-grade precision in their welcoming programs. There's a pastor whose sole job is to make sure people are welcomed. There's teams of people who are like at the starting blocks at the beginning of the Olympic races. They are watching for strange people to walk through that door, and they will get their phone number so that by Wednesday the following week, they're going to get a text message saying, great to see you. It was great. You've got any questions? Come and ask us. Come on. Here's our membership team. Come and join our group. We've got this meeting on Tuesday nights. We have coffee, dinner together. You'll learn what it's like to be a member of our church. Military grade precision. There are some churches where welcoming is more of an organic process. There are natural welcomers in the church who will just naturally gravitate towards the people looking awkward down the back. And before they leave, those people will have introduced them to at least 3 or 4 other people so that by the time they leave, they'll know that there's more than just this one person in the church. and they'll know that there's stuff going on in the church. They'll get through the awkward and find that there's somebody who'll smile for them next week. Churches have different processes and ways of welcoming. I remember once, many years ago, as a young adult, I experienced the blessing of being welcomed in one of the most awkward ways possible. It was super fun. I was in one of those transition periods where I was moving between churches. And so I decided to go to an evening service one week, and I sneaked in down the back of the service after the first song had started so that I wouldn't have to greet anybody at the door, which was awkward. And I sat there and I watched, and it seemed like a strange place. This church had its own culture. It had its own ways of belonging. The people in the pews ahead of me would smile at each other and talk to each other as they enjoyed the service together. There was a particular way they did announcements that made it really clear that there was something in this place, that there was a group of people who cared for each other, who were part of a community together. But at the end, I disappeared really quickly. I felt it wasn't quite my place, or I was shy and I didn't feel like I could introduce myself. And as I left and walked down the path, I nearly got to the gate on the street. And there was a voice calling out behind me, "Hi, hello." And there was sound of footsteps running down the concrete. I turned around and there she was. She was running towards me. Her hand was up in the air and she's going, "Hello, I'm here to welcome you." And I was like, I almost got it. It was all sorts of awkward, super cringe, but it was absolutely glorious. Because in that moment, although I had my own introvert way of kind of trying to get away, I knew that I'd been noticed. I knew that somebody cared enough to make themselves look silly as they chased me down the street. Now, most welcomes aren't quite that awkward, but it's a great way of illustrating that there needs to be a process that takes us from not belonging to belonging. And God will call people to himself in so many different ways. We hear stories of God talking to people in dreams. We hear stories of God bringing people to himself through gifted preachers that stand in race courses or cricket stadiums and proclaim the good news of Jesus. God uses his great power and sovereignty to bring people to belong to him. But the thread running through that process is that in all of it, God chooses to use us, his people. The thread running through that process is that God uses us, his people, to take us from not belonging to belonging. He equips us to evangelize, to teach, and to disciple others to become part of God's family, to belong to the community of his people. So how does your church move someone from the not belonging to the belonging? How do you welcome your neighbour? This weekend, why not try a little thought experiment? Pretend you're visiting your own church as a stranger. What will they see as they come in the door? What kind of things will they experience as they sit through that service? And how will you chase them down the path at the end? Welcoming is the doorway to belonging.